This is Matt Slingerland, professional lumberjack, and you're listening to Verbal Shenanigans.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Verbal Shenanigans podcast. Welcome to new audiences, old co-hosts, and this sausage king himself. Hello, Michael Burlew. I am visiting you in 1 week's time, literally from today when we're recording this. Is my bed ready? Is my abode ready? Did you move all the Star Wars figures out and the Disney things? And are you ready to host me?
I'm ready to host you. I just swept up the yard. I got a good amount of leaves and pine cones. You're going to be absolutely comfortable sleeping out in my backyard. It's going to be amazing. I think you'll really appreciate the southern charm of looking up at the stars as you sleep at night, as palmettos climb on top of your body. So, we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts on our state.
Yeah. I'm curious to come see the new Georgia version of Burlew. I've only seen the Jersey version and then the visiting Jersey version. I've never seen Burlew in his own element. I'm excited to see things like the fridge named after your dog and the hot tub garage that you have. And all the
that's under construction. That opens in the summertime. Sorry.
Gotcha. It is the summertime, damn it.
We're behind. I'm going by Southern time. So
the industrial sized toilet paper is one of the things on my, when you go to the Burlew's house, it's on the checklist. Like you go to Vegas and whatever, you should probably go see the Grand Canyon. You go to Burlew's house, you see what it's like to have a year's worth of toilet paper on one roll. Yeah, I mean, who gets that in one tour?
Yeah, I feel like you're going to be stockpiling your bowel movements, like somewhere around Tuesday, you're going to be telling the wifey, no, don't even ask me if I got to use it. I'm saving it. I want to see how much of that roll I can take care of in one sitting, my friend. So
you think next week I'm just going to stop going to the bathroom, hold it on a flight down there, and then what people don't know is you're picking me up. We're going to the Mets game first. So I got to hold it all through.
Correct.
The Mets parade. Yeah. And then, as we read, how far is the stadium from your house?
Probably about an hour, I would say.
So then drive back an hour. And then enter your
we'll
household.
Use bumpy roads, but we'll fill you with hot dogs in your system.
Gotcha.
We'll give you the whole treatment, and they'll be like, Scott, we have a fresh roll for you. Go at it, my friend.
We did drop the ball.
You'll be the reverse Joey Chestnut.
We did drop the ball.
Joey Chestnut tries to get everything inside his body. You're going to try to be pushing the most outside of your body.
We were supposed to mark the beginning of a roll and then take bets on how long one roll would last, but we never ended up doing that. So maybe it's time for a fresh start, Mike.
I mean, we all have to factor in a third person in the household, and I don't want you trying to cheat or anything. I don't want you to ask my dogs to go inside with you and start using the toilet and wiping their butts to try to get an advantage over me. I know you too well, man. Don't be doing that to me.
Well, anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm sure I will have a full expose after returning from the land of peaches, Georgia over there, where Mike Burlew is stationed. It's convenient. He has no neighbors. They both moved out or died. So that I always find interesting. So
now to clarify, a neighbor died, but those weren't the neighbors that moved out. There was another family that moved in, then they moved out, And the porn kid family, they moved out a while ago. So
now here's what I don't understand. All over the country, real estate is booming. I mean, you're getting $100,000 offers over bidding prices, and people are just dying to get into homes. Michael Burlew's house has 2 vacant houses next to it.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. They call it the challenge round for all real estate agents when they come by, and they're like, "All right, but there's only one word you got to keep in your head and literally not let it spit out, and that's Burlew. As long as you don't say that, and as long as he doesn't come out with his dogs and with his silly voices and go, 'Hey, do you want to use my Wi-Fi?' You might be able to sell this house."
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. Well, I will definitely have a report back for any fans who listen on our little trip. I am looking.
All 6?
All 6 of them will hear all about the trip to the Michael Burlew Castle. But I had a thought today, Mike. I had a thought that I haven't.
Congrats.
I know. I thought that I don't know if I've completely ever had this thought in my life. And I know people are going to be like, what has been smoking pot all day? But so today, Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys died. And we'll get.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, no, you didn't do this one. He's been flirting with death's door for a while, I think. And I get into a couple things in a minute, but I had this thought today. Now, I have told you many times in the past that celebrity deaths a lot of them don't move me. A lot of them, it's just like, I don't know. It's not a callous thing, but it's also like, people die, whatever. A lot of them like, oh, that really sucks. And that's kind of the end of it. Mentioned a couple years ago, whatever it was, 2-3 years ago, Taylor Hawkins died. For some reason, that one kind of got me. I just think he seemed like a great guy. But so today, Brian Wilson died. And I'm not sitting here today saying that this celebrity death bummed me out because Brian Wilson is dead. Okay. I had a thought today that Brian Wilson died. And to me, it marked the end of an era with something that like I kind of shared a little bit with my dad. Okay. And I don't know if that makes sense. So, and I'll explain more. So my dad, the soundtrack in our house, you knew it was Christmas season when the Beach Boys Christmas tape went into the tape player a couple times, My dad was a big Beach Boys fan, just always had it on. He was always into cars and he liked surfing. And I felt like for him, that was like the band of his like generation. And he loved them and always like anytime there was like a special or like a documentary on it, he always was very interested in them. Okay.
Now, was the Christmas album like specific, just regular old Christmas songs, or did we get a Beach Boy version of Christmas songs?
You would definitely know a lot of the Christmas. It's the Beach Boy versions of the like Little Saint Nick. You don't know what I to do. Like you would recognize it instantly, and you're probably not even thinking of it because it's like a classic Christmas album.
Well, I guess my question is it something like, okay, they sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and they just like sneak a Beach Boy like lyric or song in there? Is
they not lyric? Well, there's a couple that are originals, but not lyrically, but more like they got those Beach Boy harmonies. You're hearing them in like 3 seconds. So yeah, it is still a classic album. I'll get into kind of their music and where it stands with me in just a second. But
all right, I'll send it to my mom so she can torment me for another Christmas. Continue.
Yes. I mean, if you're picking Christmas, the Beach Boys one's not the worst one to dive into. But so I had this kind of, people get upset about celebrity. That's totally fine with me. I don't fault anybody, but I kind of had this first feeling of like, oh man, that really sucks. And then I had this initial thought of like, I wonder what my dad's thinking. It's probably very sad. I would imagine like kind of sad for him. Like, oh, those are my guys growing up, or is it the end of an era? And I started to think like, okay, that was playing in my house all the time. A couple years back, for a Father's Day, I took him to a movie called Love and Mercy, which is a story about Brian Wilson. He's played by Paul Dano when he's young. John Cusack is a modern day Brian Wilson, and then Paul Giamatti is the agent that kind of like took over his life. I think it's a fantastic movie. I actually want to watch it again because of this.
Oh, okay. Who played Love and who played Mercy? Who played the buddy cops and all? David Love is on the case, but he can only solve it with his partner, John Mercy.
John Love. Yeah. So I took him to that, and it was a really good movie. I do highly recommend it. But the point of of that movie, and I might be rambling a little bit here, but my mind's all over the place with this stuff. What's interesting is a lot of people don't know Brian Wilson. He basically essentially was a schizophrenic who suffered from like major anxiety. What's cool about the movie, it's not like, hey, here's the story of the Beach Boys, like how they got big, it starts like after they're big. He has a monstrous like panic attack on a plane to like a tour they were going on in Japan or something like that, and he essentially stayed back home and wrote all of Pet Sounds, which is like a renowned album the Beatles love and stuff like that. And the band went out, and then they came back, and he had this whole album prepared where he just like sampled music. The reason it's called Pet Sounds is because his dog's barking in the background, kind of like our podcast. Like there's always a dog.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm shocked they're not going right now.
Mm-hmm. You guys have heard my dog pretty much almost every episode of the podcast, unless we are on location. And essentially he was just like a kind of a mentally ill, depressed man, and his agent or whatever was also like a psychiatrist or whatever. He's played by Paul Giamatti in the movie, and he basically just like slowly just medicated Brian Wilson to death, like just over medicated him all the time, and just got rights to his songs and got rights to like his work, and was just basically putting the poor man out there. Make music, Brian, like whoosh. And the guy was so drugged up, like he basically lost like 2 decades of his life.
Okay, so that's when they called the cops, and David Love and John Mercy comes in to solve the case. Yes. Gotcha. This is an awesome cop drama. This is amazing. And the Beach Boys guest star. It's like one of them, like tonight on CSI New York, the Beach Boys.
They the scene where they take out Paul Giamatti in the karate, the final act is unbelievable.
Yeah, they're on top of a crane in New York City, and and David Love is just like hanging on by a thread, and then Paul Giamatti is like, looks like there's no more love for New York, and he's about to step on his hand, but John Mercy shoots him in the back, and he's like, love ain't falling tonight, baby. And then they go to a Beach Boys concert.
Yeah, I don't even know why I have you on the show at some points. I should just book you as a guest at this point.
I can't wait till the 500th episode of me. Who's the special guest? Is it me?
So,
Love and Mercy 2. So coming next year with NXS.
This is why we can't have serious conversations here, people. Mike, the baby boomers want to hear. This is right up their alley, and you're just dive bombing.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me babyboomers.org listeners. I truly apologize. My immaturity gets in the way sometimes. Scott will continue with his Beach Boy conversation. Continue.
Is that like a little warning and for the next segment coming up is stupidity.
Yeah, we need to put that in front of every episode. Warning, baby boomers. Michael Burlew is going to screw this up.
Like the Jackass warning. Like, warning. This thing is so I had this.
Yeah, I'm going to say some stupid stuff and then burn my crotch. But continue.
So I took him to Father's to see that movie years ago, and then like for recent Father's Day or Christmas or whatever, I took him to see. It was Chicago with Brian Wilson opening up. Now I had seen. Here come up and open myself up for jokes. In high school, I went to see. I think it was high school, or maybe it was like after college. My history teacher was really into concerts. He was also like our JV soccer coach. Invited me to come see Paul Simon and Brian Wilson, we scalped tickets at the PNC Arts Center. Go ahead.
All right. So just to confirm, so an adult teacher brought his underage student.
I don't know if I was
out
underage.
into the alleys.
No, I was underage. Yeah, it was 2001. Yep.
So just to confirm, your teacher takes out an underage boy.
Yeah.
To a concert. Can't just like walk up and show you the tickets or anything. We got to scalp it. So I'm sure there's some alleyway where his quote unquote scalper is.
Well, no. The underage part is correct. The teacher is correct.
Not sure.
But we used to just kind of like, he actually kind of taught me the ways of getting tickets at concerts. He would just wait till the last minute and kind of like ask around if there's any tickets left. That's going to burn a hole in your pocket. I think I got into Paul Simon and Brian Wilson for like $17.
Oh, I know you got into them, and you were in a van. You were like, "Where's the concert?" And just like, "Shut up, kid. Just sit back and relax. It'll all be good."
I didn't go with him. He happened to be at the concert that I was at.
He was in the van. Gotcha. And
we didn't have a van. The janitor wasn't there. Don't start.
Yeah. I mean, Scott, your childhood is just raveling in front of me. And I do want to remind you, like when you're here in Georgia, this will be a safe zone. And I can tell the wife, go outside. I need to have a conversation with Scott in the basement. He's got to get some things out of his system. And
I'm not going into the basement to have a one-on-one conversation with you. That's not the first thing we're doing when I get to Georgia.
I really can't do an intervention. It'd be weird to have your dad on Zoom. I'd really like to have him face to face if you want to go that route. But I figured that's why you were coming down here. Just know that this is the only place where you can reveal everything that happened in your childhood.
Yeah,
Scott.
Yeah, whatever, Mike. Just sit over there, okay? Would you?
He told you how to deal with a scalper. He showed you how to deal with a spanker, a fluffer. All the different types of people that you meet in the quote unquote music world. But continue with your story.
Anyway, so I saw Brian Wilson, I think it was 2001, open for Paul Simon. Phenomenal concert, and then I got my dad a gift for whatever last couple years ago, and I got him. Brian Wilson was opening for Chicago, and we went. And poor Brian, man, they wheeled him onto the stage. You could not even see him. He was wearing like a low hat and just kind of like sat in front of the piano while all these young kids who were kind of like the Beach Boys were around him. It was pretty sad. I think he sang 2 songs possibly, and I don't even know if it was him. Like it was actually really sad because I'm thinking about the movie like, oh, like he lost 2 decades of his life with people with their hands in his pockets. Kind of seems that way. Like Brian shouldn't be on stage, just being like a carcass on the stage singing Beach Boys songs.
I know the feeling. Oddly, I did see a Beach Boys concert at Six Flags. I believe I saw him on the 4th of July, and it was a great concert. I think I bring up this story a couple times on the podcast where Frankie Valli was in concert also at Six Flags, and it was just like the saddest thing is he would come out there. Now, he still could walk out there and kind of do things, but every time all those like high notes, like Walk Like a Man, Sherry, all that stuff. Yeah. Every time he gets to the high notes, everyone and point the microphone out to everybody, and he's still doing it now.
I was going to say, what's even really sadder is he's doing it now. He's just like a lizard on stage.
And literally, he looks like a mannequin almost, like those stop motion movies that you see him slowly trying to clap to the song. It's sad.
I know, it is sad, and it's just someone's back there just getting that check after the ticket sales and whatnot. But anyway, so I had this thought like, the kind of like a weird depression today. And like Brian Wilson was interesting because he wasn't like, for the front man of like one of the biggest bands in America of all time, he was like fat, depressed old man that he was never really in the spotlight. He looked, if you watch an interview with him, he just looked like kind of forced into it. And I had this weird thought, like, I wonder how much of that dude's life was actually like even in his control, like, did he have any control of what he did ever? But I wanted to pose the question to you, like, is there something like your dad or your mom or whatever is into that, if it faded away, it's almost like, yeah, maybe I'm not the biggest fan in the world. Now, I am a Beach Boys fan. They do find their way on all my playlists. Ironically enough, I'll peel behind the curtain. We are in talks, or we're in talks this week. We're trying to get one of the Beach Boys on the podcast here. So it is kind of like, I'm not saying it's a coincidence that he died because we wanted to get a Beach Boy on, but
see, I can add to your total now, Scott.
But it is weird that like we're talking about them and like, oh my God, I text you like 3 or 4 times. Like, I'm really hoping this interview lines up. Be really cool. Like, it's my dad's fair bet. I might bring my dad on the show for that possibly. And then this happens. Now, they've been separate for a long time. The guy we had on did play with him occasionally. But my question to you was, like, if something like your dad was into, or something that went away or whatnot, like that would feel like almost like a ripple gut punch. Like, it's maybe it doesn't affect you as much, but that hurts,
I would say, actually, as ironically it sounds, 2 deaths this year kind of was like really like saddening, like telling my dad. And the 2 were Jay North, who played the original Dennis the Menace back in the days. Because I remember as I was growing up and Nick and Night is starting, and that first show on Nick and Night was always like Dennis the Menace. And me and my dad would watch him. We'd laugh our tails off about this suspended kid and all, always checking off their grumpy old neighbor and that fun stuff. So that hit a little nerve. And also George Wendt, because I remember I was a big fan of Cheers, and my dad's like, that show just never hit me or whatever. And I would just keep watching. I'm like, well, sit down and I'll watch an episode. And he got into it maybe even more than me, and I would like catch him randomly as I'm like walking around. He'd like, all right, the 6 o'clock Cheers on channel 8 is over. Oh, let me go over to the 6:30 on channel 11, and he caught up with it.
So he dove in like later, like on the reruns. Yep,
exactly. And he just like fell in love with those shows. So those are the ones that kind of hit me equally, where it's like, I mean, we had a bond together, but it's also like in the first example, it was his show when he was a kid, and then it came to me, and in this case, it was my show, and I brought him into it.
Yeah, and it's probably like, I imagine when you watch Cheers now, you catch like a couple minutes or see a clip or something on YouTube, it probably is like this weird, warm feeling, like deep down, it's comforting. Like, it's like, I don't know, I put on Seinfeld because that was what I watched all through like late middle school, high school, at 11 o'clock when I was going to bed. It gives me like a comforted feeling. Like, Always Sunny is kind of that for me. I throw it on when the kids go to sleep, and I'm like, I've seen this episode 400 times, but it's just like, I'm just putting it on mine. But it's also, it got me like that little depressed thing, depressed, quote unquote. But like, wow, that's like my parents seeing their generation's music die, which just is another thing. Like, wow, maybe this is like a different way to interpret this, as we're just getting older, like we're getting older, our parents are getting older, and like, does Brian Wilson dying per se hit me in the heart and crush me? No, but I mean, the man was sick for a long time, but seeing that musical genius, that icon of my dad's era, that time, like him telling me about the Beach Boys, there's something there that's like, that sucks.
Yeah, and as you go along, as now you have kids, you're going to kind of get that transition of your 2 kids trying to bring you along into things, and then there's going to be a weird thing. We'll say 50 years down the road, Dad, Charlie Day died, and they'll have that kind of moment as I am co-hosting the Verbal Shenanigans podcast with Shay Brennan, because, basically, you got in a weird spot, and I'm the Paul Giamatti for this podcast, and I'm going to take things out, and I'm going to implore everybody to not call Chris Love and Dave Mercy to foil my evil plans. Okay,
you're just wheeling me in front of the Zoom screen while my son talks the whole time. He's like, right, Dad?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Ain't that right, Scott? I'm a man pup. Or Scott Struling, he's saying yes.
What was that? Bear news? Okay, we'll do bear news, big guy. Would you like some more soup? Sure.
Yeah.
Shay, feed him some soup. But yeah, it was the first. It was weird. Like, I've been like just trying to like think about things more sometimes. Like, why do certain things like mean certain things? But it was the first time I think I can remember this feeling like where not insignificant, I don't mean to say a celebrity death trickled down to some weird thing like me thinking about like my, growing up with my dad and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of weird that I haven't even talked to him today. I did text him, but like the way he reads text, he might get that, by the time Brian Wilson's grandson dies,
He'll come up to you. Did you hear the news? Yeah, Dad, that's the text I sent you. The phones give news now. And they told me to tell you because it says Scott Brennan and it says the news on it.
But yeah, if you guys do get a chance, check out that movie. And also, if not, even just check out like a documentary on him. It's like, it makes me wonder how many other artists, like older artists, how I'm going to tread. We've been having a lot of bands that are back again and stuff like that. It made me kind of think too, like, oh God, who's making money from them? And I pray they're in an era where they don't have to like rely on some label or something like that, like where they're just kind of doing it more independently and actually like making what they're supposed to make and stuff like that. But I'm like, how many artists are out there just probably being pushed out and saying like, okay, go sing for me, and we'll take 70% of the sales, and you end up with like $800 for the gig,
And you can also see it happening considering like music these days with the streaming and everything like that. You don't get the money that you used to have a hit song,
right?
As weird as it sounds.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. Yeah.
I think back to Weird Al Yankovic, where everybody's like, why don't you do parody songs anymore? He's like, well, I did this last one, and they told me I had like 10 million hits on Spotify, and I got a check for $3.76. So I kind of just said, I'm changing things around. So I could totally see an older generation kind of musician going, well, back in the day, this is what we did. And then
you also touched on a point I didn't even think of. Album sales and whatnot aren't really the way to make money. Being out there live is kind of the last venture. People come out and pay. Exactly. How many bands have we talked to and talked to them about that exact thing? Physical media is not a thing. So you do have to see them. So it's probably even worse now. Just like and then you think of like, I don't know, you see the Britney Spears saga and all that with her being whatever. So like that's someone who's like 40 or whatever she is. This is a guy who may have gone through this for like 40 years of his 40 years of his life. That's a sad thought.
Yeah, and extra sad when they have to go out live and a podcast like us goes, hey, we'd love to talk to you. They have to actually sit back and go, that might be smart.
Yeah.
God. What the hell did they talk about last week?
Yeah, but we've had a good run here. But let's segue out of that sadness and get into something a little more upbeat.
Yeah, before you introduce a guest, let's just say thank God we don't have a musician coming on after that.
We don't.
Thank God we didn't be like, man, this is so depressing for musicians. Coming up next, you remember him in 1983.
We're bringing on Bobby Rush. He's 96 years old. Second time on the show.
Porky Behind Me, I can only do live.
Oh, I love you, Bobby. Keep going, buddy. So tonight on the show, we do not have a musician. In fact, we have someone who is in his prime. We have someone who is I almost said virile. Like I have no clue if I said it, but
Is it a sperm racer?
yeah, he is. We're getting one of those on for sure. So he is a professional lumberjack. He's on the circuit, the ones that you see on ESPN occasionally, the ones we saw on ESPN occasionally when we were young, when there was just one ESPN and then two came and it was kind of on there occasionally, like After World's Strongest Man, cutting logs, doing I don't even remember what the one with the plank is and getting up. And he is legitimate. Like he is ranked in, all across the world and just a really cool guy. So let's get Matt Slingerland on the line. Welcome. That is Mike. I am Scott. Can you hear us all right over there?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Perfect. Matt, first off, thanks for giving us a few minutes here. I reached out to you because one, we always need guests, but two, we are always looking for people who have like unique stories and unique passions and things like that. And I feel like you certainly fit the bill. So thank you for joining us for a few minutes here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm listening to your show last couple of days, and I've been liking it a lot.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I'm sorry for that you had to go through it, but
we're waiting to see how the serial killer thing ends.
Yeah.
Well, my big grasp there is like, I'm going to wait and see.
Yeah. Mike, this is probably not the guy to talk to about chainsaws and things like that. So this might spur some new things.
Let me take you into my room. No.
So Matt, I was doing like a bunch of reading on you and kind of looking up now. For those people who are just tuning in, Matt has been, you have come, you're not necessarily the guy who found this sport, of lumberjacking. You come from generations of it. I'm curious, what was this like for you as a kid growing up in this environment? Were you always interested in it, or were you like, dad and grandpa, whoever, they're crazy, and then found you later? Because I feel like that happens in families a lot. Like you can't avoid it. Or were you in it from day one?
Yeah, I was personally, so I have a twin brother. We don't look quite alike. We're fraternal, but we took two different paths on it. Like we both did it as kids. Like I feel like any kid, if you give them an axe or something, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready, Dad. Give me that." I know. I have a 3-year-old, and he's like all over it. Right? I don't really make him, but he goes to all the shows and sees it. And I was the same. Like I was taken to my first show. Actually, we're going to a show this weekend that's in Webster County, West Virginia. And I've been going since I was 2 months old. So like, that was my first time going there. So like, I've always been around it. So yeah, with my dad just doing it and all his friends doing it and me just kind of started admiring the sport. And like, this is just so cool. I got to get in it. The second he let me have an axe, I started. So for me, it was pretty easy. Like you said, I'm third generation. So no problems for me getting interested in it and doing all that. And my brother, I guess we both did it just as, with my dad for a while. And my brother stopped doing it when he was started being a teenager, 16, 17, started getting out of it a bit. But, he just had different interests and was into different things. So,
yeah.
What a loser, getting into girls and all. When you could be getting an axe. Out of curiosity, what is like the process to actually get into competitions? I'm guessing there's no like AA kind of system or anything like that. Is there like qualifications? Is it just registering and you're in it, or what?
Well, yeah. The professional series that we're in is a ranked system, like based on other shows. You go to other shows, you get times. It'd be kind of like the strongman thing. I think of it as, people put qualifications. Yes. There used to be more qualifications than there are now in the professional series. They've gotten rid of like the bottom qualification, so to speak, and they just rank a little bit higher. They rank the top 24 now instead of like the top 50 to put them straight on to the, what you would see on the TV or whatever, Fox Sports. So yes, there's lots of qualifications and things. Like the show this weekend is what they call a national championship type event, but it's just like a lot of the good competitors, top competitors, all sorts of variants of competitors. go. And some people think of it as like a hobby, right? They're like pretty good at it. They like chopping wood. They like the people that are around the sport. And so they get into it like that and go and do that. And then there's people like me that were either born into it or had like a really, caught on really quick in college or whatever. And then just trained hard and got into it and wanted to be the top guys. And then, they're going to those shows to try to win, get times, build your credit, so to speak, to get into the professional series.
I'm curious, like, since you grew up around the sport, clearly now we cover everything, right? There's a million ESPNs and people can fund their own coverage of things. But I'm curious, like, when you remember it as a kid, were the events like bigger, like considering it was more of a niche thing, or like now is it way bigger because it's covered so well?
Yeah, I felt like now it's covered differently, right? And there's certainly a bigger audience, like more millions of people are putting their eyes on it, I would say now, because of like every single event is YouTube streamed. Right. And, some even smaller shows are like Facebook streamed. And anyways, you can get it out there in a lot of different ways. But like when I remember it as a kid, it was like one of the new things on ESPN, and they aired it a ton. And so like, I grew up like idolizing those guys, because I went to those shows when I was a kid and watched it get aired and have all the videos, and all of that. So it was a big deal to me, I guess. But I don't necessarily know if they would have had more viewers.
Well, that's what I was curious about, because, like it's a oversaturation of things we could watch, but that 1 hour that World's Strongest Man was on, or the 1 hour that the Lumberjack thing was on, we were tuned in because that's what we were given. So I was curious if you saw like a different dynamic.
Yeah. I liked when it was on ESPN, and now they brought it back to Fox Sports 1, and they're airing it a lot. They were airing last week. They do it like once a week, back to that sort of thing. Like you said, that you can kind of find anything you want anywhere. So I think it's more of a get it out there in more streams and kind of let it take on like that. So I do think it's taken on more now. Like our venue for the national series in Milwaukee, it's at a German Fest. It's been there for about 5 years now. And it's like just such an awesome venue, even compared to the ones I've seen in the past, 30 years now of going to these things. So.
And with all sports, as the years go on, things adapt and change. How many of the events right now could it be just like if my dad or grandpa's in there, they're right in there in the top 5? And how many is it, okay, it changed so much that they wouldn't be used to what's going on right now?
Oh, I got you. Yeah, no, it's more like I guess an old sport. Like, I mean, you could even refer it to like basketball, right? Basketball hasn't changed much. They added a backboard but the same idea goes for the 80 years or whatever. It's probably for basketball, it might be 150 years. Yeah. This sport has been going on for 120 years or so. And in that 120 years, like the events were based on going out into the woods and like actual loggers, like saying, "Now I can fall that tree faster than you," or I can chop that. I can chop that faster than you. I can throw this axe better than you, or whatever it is. And then they started competing against each other, and that's how it kind of got formed, right? So the events are based on those things in the past. So the events haven't changed at all. So like there's senior chops at these things, like like 50 and older, and these guys that have been doing it forever are still chopping against each other. I mean, I know a guy that's like 85 that is chopping an underdog at these big world championship events. So like, there's abilities for the older guys to do it as well, even now, because it's a repetition sport, right? So
sure.
Like I'm 34 and I'm top guy because it takes so much time for accuracy, to present everything right and to learn to do it at such a fast rate that it just takes sheer time of doing it to like be so good at each event. So,
well, you kind of segue into the question I wanted to ask you. Like, you mentioned you have children, your family, and whatnot. But I'm sure people have no idea the time commitment that goes into the sport as far as A, training, and B, traveling to these events and whatnot. Like, give us a little insight into what a life in Matt Slingerland's, what a day in the life of Matt Slingerland is like as he prepares for these events and tries to balance a family and things like that.
Yeah, it really takes an army, literally 100%. Yeah, like I'm set up so much so, like, to be at the top level, and I mean, like, I want to be the very top level, right? Is to like surround yourself with it. So like my wife obviously just like couldn't help me more than she helps me, like, with the kids. We help run her family business. So like, yeah, her parents are helping me always, like, with the freedom to get out there and travel to every event that I can. Like we just came from Australia for a month, and
right.
We're traveling all over to everything because I'm trying to win, so much. And so it does take everyone to understand, like, I guess, my dream and to support my dream and all that. Like, obviously my parents did my whole life, giving me free trips to these things and wood and, they're putting me in front of these athletes that know more than them to teach me and all of that. But like a day to day, is, go to work for the family business, have to go train, like weeks like this. Like, I'm in actually my buddy's garage right now, work on my hot saw. So it's just like, you have to find the time. We leave Thursday for another contest. And, we went to one 2 weekends ago, and it took a whole week to go travel to that and all that. So it's just like this time in the next couple of months is just work as fast and much as I can here, go train in the afternoons, come home, try to pack everything up, get ready, get the gear ready, keep everything ready, and then travel to the next one. So
talk about your gear that you bring to the event. Do you supply your own? Does the event supply the axes? Do you just have like a natural bond with an axe, or do you go through them like a baseball player goes through bats?
No, only you has a natural bond with an axe, you serial killer.
Well, I mean, there are sweet moments with the axe, but still, I just want to ask on a professional level.
I told you it would come out eventually. You can't hold him down.
Yeah, he knows about the sweet moments with the axes. I heard Yeah, no, it's funny you say that though, because like there are people that do have sweet moments with their axes, right? They name them, they get bonds with them. I am actually the opposite. I'm like a axe junkie. I'm like ordering as many new axes as I can, as long as I can afford it. I mean, they're like $600 a piece ish. So I try to just order new ones every year and just sell old ones that I'm not into anymore, or whatever the reason is. I chopped a bad log with it. Even sometimes I'll be like, okay, I never want to swing this again. Get new ones. But yeah, everybody has a different approach on gear, because that's I would say, biggest problem with the sport is that it does cost so much to like get into it, or like, unless you have somebody that wants to help you out. Like, I'm more than willing, people in the area that are interested, they want to train, I'll let them loan my gear that, I've built it up over a lot of years, but it is really expensive. So yeah, just, what I can, just buy new gear, because it is a little bit of a gear race. Like, there's no restriction, so to speak, on like, granted, race axes. There's not a lot of companies that make them. We get them from a company, Tuatai in New Zealand, mostly now. Brute Forge, it's another Australian company. There's only like 2 or 3 companies that make racing axes. So we all get them from the same place. There's a lot of different grinders out there that sharpen axes differently or whatever, but everybody does their own thing. That's kind of how you can try to gain an advantage, maybe. So there's lots of different aspects to the sport in that sense. It's like, it'd be like a NASCAR. Like, they're trying to get their car tuned just a little better than somebody else's. It's like the same with my hot saw back here. Like, I'm trying to keep everything just perfect on it, everything tuned the way it should be to be the fastest I can be, right? So,
well, I thought today, like, instead Like we ask a lot of questions that people would normally not know, but Mike over here, he claims to be an expert like on a lot of things.
That is true.
So he's a little bit of like a lumber elitist and whatnot. So I figured I was going to ask Mike a question, get his answer, and then maybe Matt, you can see if you know the answer to these things real quick. Just a couple questions.
I mean, I feel bad. He'll have nothing to say after I answer, but
Right.
I mean, it sounds unique.
I just have a few. So instead of just asking Matt, I figured maybe we just go through this real quick. Mike, since you are up, what's the approximate RPM range of a hot saw?
I mean, it depends on how spicy the saw is and all. Like if it has like those Carolina Reapers or whatever, that's way up on the hot sauce scale, you know.
Right.
But I would probably guess the normal answer would be somewhere in the 6,000 psi.
Matt, can you answer that question for Mike, please?
You know, there are a lot of different hot saws. I'll give you that. But they do run about 50 horsepower, and yeah, so yeah, the RPM range is a lot higher than 96 psi.
I mean, maybe in your competitions, but whatever. You know,
I when I was doing research, I got about 10,000 to 12,000 RPMs.
Yeah, and that's probably on the high side, but yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like that's accurate for the high side of it. They're dirt bike engines, right? So you'd have to think about redlining a dirt bike engine for about 5 seconds is what you're looking at there in terms of RPMs and horsepower and all of that. So
see, I like learning. That's why I like to hear from you. Mike just claims to know this. So let me ask
we
you.
both gave you a professional answer. Go to the next one, okay?
Mike, what's the purpose of the springboard in the springboard chop event? You always claim to know this.
You got it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of these are on the West Coast, right by the ocean. So sometimes there's an added event where, like, if you're down points, you can go on the springboard and jump into the ocean. And if your dive gets enough points, and maybe it'll give you enough to make like a wild card spot into the finals.
According to my research, that's incorrect. Matt, can you answer that question?
I honestly wish that was the answer.
Well, it is, but whatever, Matt.
Yeah, so the springboard event is the springboard is just a traditional way to climb a tree, like higher. They used to climb it above like the knotty region of the big trees, like redwoods and so to speak. Right. So cut a little pocket in the tree and then stick a board with a clip on the end. And the board with the clip on the end is a springboard because, well, it springs if you stand on it. But cool story I have about that is like I did go to the actual redwoods in California, and was walking down a trail and saw an old tree that was fallen and saw a springboard pocket in it. And I'm like, there's proof that, you know, this stuff was useful at some point, and now we just made a sport out of it because America, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, I just have two more for you. You know, we can go on and on, but I think Matt's doing a little better at the moment. Let's go with this one, Mike.
Your opinion.
Mike, what's a cant hook used for in lumberjacking? A cant hook.
Well, I mean, it's when they want to pull down a tree, but it's too old. So, you know, instead of hooking up to it, the judges declare it cant hook.
According to my research, you're wrong again, Mike. Matt,
what are you going to for these answers, Scott?
Matt, can you clear up the cant hook for this man?
Yeah. So a cant hook is like I call it a PV. It's funny enough, but it's like a piece of wood that has a hook and a spike on the end, and you use it to roll logs. And in like sport, we use it to literally roll like a 12-foot long, huge log and try to hit some spikes with it and then roll it back and hit some other spikes. And it's just like, who can roll this log more accurately, which I think is such funny.
So just to clarify, it has nothing to do with an old tree, right?
Yeah.
Interesting, Mike.
Well, he's from the newer generation, so he doesn't know the rules of the old trees, Scott. Yeah.
All right, just one more, Mike. I think you'll really bring it home with this one. You've just been kind of toying with the audience that you don't know these things. What's the role of a choker setter in traditional lumberjacking?
Well, I mean, their major role is to, as a choker, as I've been a professional in my day. The thing is, you don't want to really suffocate the tree because then it's harder to chop down the wood. So that's what the point. It's like a added additional safety feature so you don't choke it there.
Got it. That's not what I got. Matt, can you just clear this last question up for us, possibly?
Well, I can definitely tell you that it's not anything to do with safety, but no, I'm interested to hear your answer. I've done the choker race once in competition. It is a Western Coast event.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, they just throw like a huge cable around a massive tree and cinch it up. So I'm assuming that it's for moving logs some manner, but back in the day. But you tell me.
Matt, it's weird. You're 100% correct. The choker setter attaches cables or chokers around logs to be pulled or transported by machinery or animals. Mike?
Well, let me just point out, he's on the West Coast. I'm an Eastern Coast person, and that's why he didn't understand it. He's from a different age.
Gotcha.
Chokers and sawing and hot sawing and so forth. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, I respect the new ways of logging, but I'm just an old schooler and all. Like if we got his grandpa on, he'd be totally on my side right now.
Well, thank you, Matt, for clearing some of that up for the audience. Maybe knocking Micah down a peg or two, or a notch, should I say, a notch or two. Go ahead, Mike. Continue with the interview.
All right. So, well, let's talk about. I mean, you're a good competitor. Your father, your grandfather are world champions. Talk about 2017 with the hot saw incident where you got DQ'd. Kind of talk about what happened and what you were going through in that event.
Yeah. So that year I feel like was like the closest I was to winning like early in my timber sports career, right? So like have the lead, just need a good hot saw race. In the hot saw, you have to cut 6 inches of wood. You have to cut 3 cuts, like down, up, down. I don't know how much you guys have watched, but you have to make 3 cuts from the go from a cold start and in 6 inches of wood. And you have to have, if your cuts are incomplete or you cut up the line or, there's a bunch of ways to disqualify the event. I had a pretty good cut actually, but I went thin on my upcut when I switched like out of the wood and back up. I thought I cut out at the bottom, right? But it was so thin that when it hit the deck, it just broke. And then when I went for my third cut, it fell on top of the piece that broke and covered it up. So I just thought, I have an incomplete disc. I better get a time, go to cut a 4th cut. And I don't remember if I got the 4th cut or not. I try to forget all these things, And anyways, I DQ'd myself essentially. I had 3 good cuts, would have got second in the hot saw, won the event, all good, first championship. And I just made a terrible call really. But, I look back on it, I'm like, I was cutting good hot sawing, but I wasn't that good of a hot sawyer, right? Like to me now seeing it, I'm like, there's a big difference. Like there's people that can run hot saw. There's people that can cut fast in hot saw. But then there's hot sawyers, right? Like that are like, okay, I'm going to win this every time, that kind of thing. And then I realized, okay, like that's who I need to be. So, and actually the next year, a similar thing happened, honestly. Like, so I started getting serious about hot saw then, and long-winded story, but 2018, same position leading into the final race, which is the hot saw in this big national event. And I double clutched my hot saw again, again, just put myself out of it. And then from then on, I just really focused on it. So like now I have I set a world record last year, and I'd say it's like my best event. So,
So for as physical the sport is, obviously, like what is the mental side of this as far as day of competition, week of competition? How are you kind of prepping? Before you go out there, we see football players doing their thing. We see other athletes doing this. are you a guy who's just putting his headphones on, relaxing? Like, what is your mental game approach to the sport?
Yeah, I've tried a lot of different things, honestly. Like, I'm sure that the professional athletes, like the NFL players and all that, do as well. But yeah, like everybody's doing their own different things. Some people are warming up ferociously. Some people are just chilling, doing nothing. Some people are checking their gear, this and that. I personally put headphones on. Like, I'll start because, like, like there's a semifinal and then a final race. But, like, what these events are roundabout's going to be, right? Like, I know if I'm in the semifinal pool and there's two before me that I got this time beforehand to hang out. So I like sit in the crowd sometimes and just listen and relax, like listen to headphones, relax, think of like visualize being up there and what I'm going to do and, stuff like that. And then, obviously I've transitioned to like, how soon do I want to warm up? Because like, that's another problem about our sport is like, okay, basketball players go out for like 2 hours and like shoot shots and like warm up, like, but they don't have like wood like that in the back where you're like, oh, I'll warm up, I'll get some chops in. You're like, it's too dangerous in their eyes and all, I get it. Like there's all this stuff that goes along with it. You can't just have people just flopping away axes all everywhere, while there's people walking around a park or something. But yeah, so I just try to I do like ski erg, yoga type stuff. I have kettlebell warm ups. So like I've just tried a lot of different things to get my body warm, but not be like just dead tired, obviously going into a ledge sprint. So, but everybody has their own thing, really. I try to model professional athletes, to be honest with you, like look what people are doing, look up what works and kind of just build off of that, see what works for me.
Yeah, I was curious if like the playlist is like a chill playlist, or are you getting fired up? Like which mindset are you going into it? I played with that too, kind of, but like I want to go for the fired up music. I'm into rap music, so I listen to a lot of rap before. But a little Run the Jewels right before competition. That's what I would do.
So that's what I'm like. You got to get pumped up, right? So. Yeah, I do that, but I've also been listening to some meditation type music before to because it is a big stage, or at least like if you're talking about the professional circuit and all that, it's like big stage. They ramp up the production every year. Like there's strobe lights, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Big crowds, lots of drunk people. It's great. You got to be somewhat ready for it, right? Like if you want to compete at a high level. So obviously the 15 or however many I've done so far. Helps, but it's good to get yourself pumped up and then sometimes relax and be like, okay, like it's the same thing you always done.
Sure.
So I take both sides on that.
I hear that. What are the fans like? Do you guys got like groupies? Are you signing like wood and axes while you're heading out on the road, or what are the people like who go to these shows?
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I mean, there's not groupies, no.
no lumberjills.
We do sign people with wood, though. I'll tell you what, we sign a lot of wood. Like these shows, like I'm sure, like now that they, which I think is smart of them, is they put it in the same spot. It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A German Fest. It's the same weekend. You can look it up literally the week after it's done. You can look it up for the next year. It's always there. Like. I think I like to tell myself that people like it and they come back, right? There's always a massive packed crowd, whether they came to see it or not. There's tons of beer, brats, the whole German Fest thing.
Sure.
So it's just a great atmosphere. And yeah, like there I've signed jerseys. I've signed, like cookies and stuff. They like to hand out like the hot sauce cookies and stuff just for people to keep if they want to. But yeah, I think the crowds are great. I honestly love to see it in big places. Like I want it to get bigger, right? I want it to be in like tennis size, professional tennis size arenas.
Sure.
Everywhere, and so having that's great, I think. And, there's a lot of contests out there that do have that like the one I'm going to this next weekend, it might be in a little town, but they've had it for 80 years. So they're like everyone's there. It's like just jam packed, stuff like that. So.
Now, is there any like paradox with you? Like, okay, like, yeah, I chop wood for competition, whatnot. Like, but do you like hate yard work at home and like?
Not funny. No, I guess there is no paradox. I mean, I guess I'm licensed to be a physical therapist, so that kind of is like a super counterintuitive job to. And now I do contracting work, so like contracting work lines up with it a little more, I feel. But when I was a physical therapist and I'm like washing my hands 15 times a day, I'm like, okay, like I go to these things and these big ass dudes are like, "You got soft hands, man." Like maybe paradoxical there, but no, like I try to help around the house. You know, my wife lets me travel to all these things. She comes with me. We have 2 kids. It's tough, you know, sometimes. Sure. So, you know, I like to help out.
With the with like your how there's, you know, multiple competitions within the competition. When you're training, are you like, okay, I'm doing a little hot saw today? I'm like, do you try to vary? Like, I got to knock out these 3 different events, or is it all kind of like training just focused for the thing as in entirety?
Yeah. I've tried that a lot of different ways too, because you do got to see what works. And I've realized that doing like 1 or 2 events a day is really better, because then you can focus on it. You can do a bunch of it. So like this sport, I can say it again, it's like accuracy, repetition, consistency, you know, all that with speed and power is what makes you good. So, you have to really like put a lot of hits in to get that accuracy and that stuff. So like, yeah, it's if you focus on one event at a time, like I do like 2 events a day, then you really focus on it and be like present with it. Whereas like I used to try to do that. Like the professional series has 6 total events. So I feel like, okay, you're doing 6 in the day. You got to do all 6 today. You do that, but then you find yourself just kind of rushing through them, and you know you have the kids ready for dinner, and you take 3 hours to do all these 6 events, and you're like, oh man, maybe I should just do 1 or 2. And, you just got to adjust stuff like that.
Now, have you also done events for the U.S. team and won medals for that? What is like the biggest like thorn in your side country that you guys face every time and all? Are you going there, damn those Portuguese or something like that?
Yeah. We always go, damn the Australians, which it's like bittersweet, because like we're good friends with the Australians too. The same thing, like we know their whole team, you know, all that. I go, like I said again, we went over there for a month and competed over there. Obviously we stayed with competitors wanting to help us out, you know, give us their knowledge and you know, their homes, and it's really great. So before I talk crap, there's that. Yeah, like we lose to them, right? And like we don't like to lose, none of us, that, you know, so it's like to lose to the same team. Well, I don't know how many times now, 7 times that I've been on the team. It's tough. So like when over there, we get the game paces on, we talk lots of shit, you know, the whole 9 yards, and they do the same, try to get in our heads, you know, that this and that's competition, I suppose. But they are the ones we're like looking to beat, aiming to beat, training hard to beat. Like, yeah, they're the team. So there's a lot of better competition over in world championships the last, like I'd say 5 or 6 years. You know, a lot of European teams have kind of caught fire a bit and done some things, as well as like Canada and New Zealand and stuff like that. But Australia.
Is there a big camaraderie when the competition's over outside of the sport? Like I feel like a bunch of lumberjacks got to be like drinking beers together afterwards, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Lots of beers to be drunk. No, you have to have camaraderie. Like I said, like this sport is expensive, and it's always nice. Like I know I help out the younger guys. Like I live in Tennessee, and there's actually a lumberjack dinner show here. I live in Pigeon Forge, so it's like a real touristy town, Dollywood, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm. Been many times.
And there's, oh, nice. So you'll know about that. So there's dinner shows, and the Lumberjack Feud's one of those. And I used to work there before I did PT, and now work for the family business and everything, and thought it'd be a great way to train it. So that's why I came down to this area. But I like to help out the kids there, right? So like they're just younger kids getting into the sport. They come down here, they want to work doing the things that like we do in competition, right? And all that. And unfortunately, you don't make enough to always buy 6 axes a year or 2 saws a year or whatever. So like, I know I help the people around me just because I've been in it so long. In that sense. So.
Yeah, Matt, I knew this interview would fit right into our lane when I reached out to you. First off, thanks for sharing, your knowledge and your experience and whatnot. If people want to check out what you're up to, or when the next competition is, or follow the I don't know if you call it the federation or league or whatnot, where's the best places for them to go?
Yeah, so if you want to watch the sport, I think the best way to just get hours of footage to catch all the live streams and everything is YouTube.
Right.
And if you just type in STIHL Timbersports U.S, STIHL Timbersports .us, they have an online website that shows you all the data, can tell you when the next airings of everything are, when the next contests are, and all of that. But if you type in STIHL Timbersports U.S on YouTube, you're going to get just massive amounts of footage. Personally, myself, MSlinger1 at Instagram and YouTube, I like to try to share the airings and all of that, and as well as my travels. We go to a lot more contests than what you'd see on TV and all that. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Final question. Weird things to find when you Google people's names. Did you know your name was used in a 2002 medical drama on CBS?
No, but I'm into it.
Yeah. It was apparently called Presidio Med. And I'm going to share my screen for a minute. I'm not sure if the audio is going to come through, but I was listening to the opening credits, and this is like a banging song right here. I'm sorry.
The audio or the audio's not coming through, but I'm looking it up.
I'm looking at your
yeah. I like stuff on my
that's serial killer right there.
Yeah,
that is out of
if you
control.
look closely, I bet it'll be in there. That folder you've been looking for.
Yeah, I'll just show you right. Let me see the guy.
I always get they think that I'm like part of the drumming set, the Slingerland drumming.
Yeah, that right there is you. That's
That
is Dr. Matt Slingerland right there. You are saying right there. Paul Blackthorne right there played you. So congratulations on that. And if you play the audio, it's a bang set. I think you should add it to the next time you're doing the competition.
I'll edit in post. I'll put it in there so we pretend that we were really rocking out to it. So
if you guys show up to the next one, yes, I will walk in. I'll have it planned. You guys will know what's up.
Love it. Matt, thank you so much for your time, man. Good luck in the competitions coming up, and we'd love to have you back on in the future.
Yeah, anytime, for sure. I appreciate you guys and love what you're doing. So, thanks for having me.
Matt Slingerland, Mike, you got some explaining to do, man. You got owned.
No, listen, you guys just don't understand my kind of wooding. You just
wooding.
Yeah, that is the English term, the proper term for lumberjacking. Thank you.
Yeah,
you don't just see. I come from a time where you put on a nice suit. Put on your best derby, find the finest axe that you could find in the backyard, and go out there like a gentleman and swing around and hit the wood.
Where did you grow up where wooding was this amazing British sounding sport, by the way?
Central Jersey. It was a weird pocket of South Brunswick. I can't really explain it to you. Right. They're all moved away, so the traditions have left us, and it's only
so we can't contact anyone to validate this story.
No. I'm afraid not, Scott. But if we got anything from tonight other than a great interview, Presidio Med theme song is the new jam, Scott. I feel
Why are you so obsessed with the Presidio Med theme song?
Scott, it's just a beautiful little bucket drumming theme song. The second I heard it, I said, that is my jam. I erased everything on iTunes, and I only have that. I listen to that all the time going to work. Scott.
All right, hold on. You know what? Before people are like, what the hell is this man talking about? Like, Maybe they listen to the interview, or maybe they fast forward here. Let's just put the song into the podcast real quick and let people check it out, and then they'll have an idea what the hell you're talking about. So people, that is the song Mike is, God knows, doing what with. Go ahead, Mike.
I feel it's just fate that we stumbled onto this. I was looking over the show. You know what was the name of the lead character of the show, Scott?
Matt Slingerland.
Well, Dr. Matt Slingerland was on the show, but listed as the lead character is Dr. Brennan.
Oh, no.
Dr. Ray Brennan, but still, it's just it's Kismet.
Poetic. Yes,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel we're going to rebirth this show. I feel there's going to be Comic-Cons dedicated to Presidio Med, like panels and signatures, and this thing is going to blow up. They're going to cancel all the SVUs. They're going to get rid of all the CSIs and the NCISs, and every station will just be Presidio Med.
Now, are we just revitalizing the old show? Like, are we just becoming like a podcast of that show or a promotion? Or are we redoing the show? Are we bringing it back and putting it to the masses? Which angle are we going towards?
Well, Scott, here's the beautiful thing about it. So it only lasted one season, and they had 14 episodes. But 3 of them were unaired. So right out the bat, our first footstep is like start negotiating to get the 3 missing episodes out there.
You know what? The next game we do, the next game with consequences. If you lose, you have to watch all 12 episodes or 14 episodes of Presidio Med and do a little like summary of each one.
I can't wait, Scott. I mean, let's not forget about the episode Breathless, where a teenage boy is treated after falling off the roof in what is suspected as a self-inflicted injury. After he reveals that he is gay. And the life of a patient on the waiting list for new lungs is explored. I mean, look all the things that happened today.
I'm not really figuring out what the gay had to do with him jumping off the roof, but okay.
Well, it's Pride Month, so I think we just had to throw that in there, just to make everybody.
We just have to say gay, so the algorithm picks the podcast up. I got it.
Yeah, I think about that all the time and all. How about when Dr. Brennan...
I think about you jumping off the roof all the time also.
Yeah, but I'm straight, so I can't do that. And I want to think of something else for me to do.
Debatable. Anyway, keep going.
All right. Well, how about the fact that Dr. Brennan has refocusing on making her marriage work and attempts to make it easier by asking Dr. Cocaris to leave Presidio Med and return to Greece.
Dr. Brennan has to deal with Dr. Cocaris. Is it?
Yeah, like you at the scalper.
That sounds like a plan. You're just saying, Dr. Brennan.
You want to look it up?
He has to deal with
Kokoris. How would you pronounce it out of curiosity?
Dr. Brennan has to deal with Dr. Cocaris. Yeah, I see where you're going there, buddy. I see what you're setting me up for.
How about the 2 doctors fight over whether they should remove the leg of a diabetic patient? That's the whole episode. The whole episode is about some dude who has bad sugar intake and if they take off his leg or not. That sounds amazing.
But you don't know the ending, and if you lose the next game, you're watching the whole thing.
Dude, you think that is a punishment, man? You keep on crying to me. You gotta go watch Nosferatu, and I'm like, I will get to it. I lose that game. I might just forfeit before the game starts and just.
I mean, hell, I might make that. If you win the game, you get to watch all of Presidio Med. Never mind. I thought I came up with a punishment. This is a reward for you.
Yeah, so Scott, once again, a beautiful interview, and now we're going to get a new audience. And I'll wait till the cons find out that we are the ones that revived Presidio Med.
So you think like maybe there'll be like a Walking Dead tent, like a Marvel tent, and then like maybe not as big as them, but right after that, the Presidio Med tent.
Oh yeah, there's going to be nobody in those other lines, Scott, and they're going to be. We're going to be confiscating cell phones because we're going to give them a little sneak peek of one of the episodes that was unaired, and because we don't want it out in the public, and that's where our money's going to be made. Us having the rights to show those episodes, and the place is just going to go berserk and all. I mean, what happened to Dr. Slingerland? What happened to Dr. Brennan? What happened to Dr. Cockris after you told hm to go to Greece? I mean, the situations
now we're greasing up Dr. Cockris for Dr. Brennan to go find up a greased up Dr. Cochran.
Cockris. Don't piss off the Presidio Med fans out there, the set heads as they call them. Yeah. But yes, Scott, I think that we found another gold mine here, and I just beg you all not to steal our $1 million ideas, which we just
all of this stemmed from you just liking the song.
It's a banging song. I mean, once the song grabs you, you got to go for the entire ride, my friend.
Is that how you become a medhead or whatever you said?
Exactly. And that's where the medheads all reside, and all. Like they have their gatherings. They're like, we can't start until that bucket drum set goes off on everybody. So let's do this.
Yeah. I apologize. Babyboomers.org, Australia. This is what you're going to get on the show. You're going to get some serious conversation. You're going to get a good guest. And then you're going to get Mike going down a wormhole of the medheads.
Yeah. Our big peeps and all this.
Well, you couldn't possibly have anything more that might be interesting for the show.
Well, Scott, if you insist on me continuing to carry the show as I always do.
Always.
Yeah. So for our longtime fans here, as you may recall in past episodes, we had a little bit where my parents found basically a grade school storybook, if you will, that I wrote. And we had some banger stories that I've read from there. I don't remember any of them that I wrote prior to. I read them on the show, and we've had My Friend Blackie.
Classic.
We had Inderella.
Unbelievable story.
So, some of our greatest bits came from that. But sadly, as I reviewed the rest of the book, there wasn't really anything interesting.
Yeah.
And kind of thing died and all. But my dad came over to assist me on something, and he's like, I was cleaning out the garage, son, and I found a few things of yours. I figured I'd hand it off.
And you were like, oh, God, no. What could it be? No.
Not the bodies.
Yeah.
Those were supposed to stay there, Dad. I hate to say this, but I was trying to frame you, but I digress.
Like, oh, shit. Time's up. Here we go. It's finally over.
But he gave me some things like my college diplomas and a couple other artifacts. But that's Scott, I came across this book right here. Where the front page, it has my name on it, and it is entitled Pegasus 4, which I had no idea about. But as I opened it up, this is from my school year of 1985 to 86.
Wow.
It has a table of contents. And as I scrolled over, it said Mike Burlew, page 42. So I'm like, we got a bit here, Scotty.
Yes, we do. But as you're holding up that book, it's bringing me those memories of those like binding books that teachers used to be able to do and put your writing in. I don't even know how they did that. Like those are pretty high quality books right there.
Yeah, but I mean nowadays teachers got to pay for all the workbooks and notepads, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't get this money back or anything. So I don't know how the people back in 85, 86 came up with this.
Now, I'm so interested. I don't want to dive right into this. I don't want. Okay. I want to ease into this. Mm-hmm. You said there's a table of contents.
Yeah.
So let's see what what's in the table content. What are I hope there's some insane 1985 racist stuff in there.
Well, there's a foreword, and then it's everybody's name, so I would have to go to the page to see.
Oh, there's no titles of like what things are.
No, they just had the people's names. That's why I didn't know my title initially. Okay. But let me look.
I digress.
Peaches by Christy Altaro.
Oh, I love Peaches by Christy.
The Horse by Dawn Bowitz.
Oh, The Horse. Love it.
Let's scroll.
Great titles. I wonder if those are about peaches and a horse.
Bike Riding by Mark Greger.
That's probably a deep story. Yeah.
It's Alive by Amy Gemma.
Okay, now we're getting a little bit more existential. It's Alive. Could be anything.
Littlefoot by Ryan Haight.
Oh, yeah. Ryan Haight loves some Littlefoot. Okay. Spring
at Valley Forge by Jimmy Jellin.
Jimmy Jellin?
Yeah, he was a buddy of mine.
That's a great name. Yo, Mike Burlew and Jimmy Jellin just hanging out, man.
That's almost like Love and Mercy, my friend.
It is.
We never made it to the top.
Mm-hmm.
The Tap Dance Kid by Lakia Johnson.
Oh, man, I want to read that one. Okay.
Yep. Bigfoot by Niraj Khanna. Just a Wintry Day by Danny Concur.
I concur. Yes.
Yeah,
that was his name.
Another one called It's Alive.
Whoa.
By Andrea Croft. Let's see. My First Day at School by Peter Kuzma.
Okay.
The Magic Forest by Rob Martin.
Only a couple creative titles, but
yeah.
What about the Michael Burlew?
Yeah. So just to pull the curtain back a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. So as I informed Scott, hey, I'm bringing back a bit, and I tell him we got a book, and he's like, oh, dang. And we're going back and forth, and he's like, what? I want to know what the title is. I don't want to know, but I do want to know. And I'm like, all right, I promise I won't read it, but I will look at the title. And I looked at the title. I'm like, oh, my God. Maybe you want to wait on this one, maybe get surprised in the podcast. And Scott was literally torn. He kept on texting me.
I was torn. And I was so torn, in fact, that I presented my wife with the scenario. I said, Burlew's got this book. We've had, and I go, and we are in the past, and this, and he has this. I'm like, would you want to know the title, or would you want to wait? And then she was like, she totally misinterpreted things. She was like, I don't know. You trust your co-host, right? I'm like,
not
no,
really,
honey. Like, and then she kind of like fizzled out and like followed the kids into the other room. Literally, just tuned me out on this question.
Aren't our wives the best when we bring up anything podcast that is not specific to them? They truly.
Yeah, they don't understand the excitement of us being like, oh my God, this is going to be funny. This is going to be really great. Meanwhile, my wife never listens to the podcast. So
yeah. My wife did listen for Walden Jam, but I digress on that one.
Oh, you mean the Walden Jam?
The Walden Jam. Gotcha. I know. I've heard there's a drinking game every time I say Walden Jam. So
wow. Okay. I want to play that when we go down there.
From our friend Harry. But ladies and gentlemen, The Bionic Stooges Part 1 by Mike Burlew.
Yeah, Mike sent this to me, and it was as great as I imagined. The Bionic Stooges, and the fact that it's a Part 1 means this mentally ill child was writing a trilogy of the Bionic Stooges. His initial thought was, let's not do one. Let's go big. Let's go 3, 4, 5.
Listen, I made an MCU universe in 85. Okay. I don't know what's in there, but I know this is pure gold. Now I will.
Now you see Bionic Stooges. Does any flicker of memory come back at all?
Not even somewhat.
Okay.
Not even somewhat. And that's why I will say the page before my story begins, it says, this is a series of stories written by Michael Burlew, Jason O'Brien, and Jeffrey Petrick. Each wrote an episode of the 3 Bionic Stooges.
Oh my God. It is a trilogy.
Yeah. Shockingly, I had friends, I guess. I don't.
You had co-writers. We've needed co-writers for so long on this show. You wrote a pure Stooges trilogy. Now, can I predict what the story's about?
If you can, God bless you. I don't even.
So I slept on this a little bit. I was thinking
Okay.
about it today. I don't know if you remember, what year is it? Like somewhere in the 80s and 90s, the Three Stooges had a little, like a rebirth. I don't know if they were being simulcasted or whatever you call it, like put back out. And Terminator was like really big. Okay,
Ooh.
like robot movies were really big. RoboCop, Terminator, Blade Runner, all this like post-apocalyptic robot shit was huge. So I think in this story we are going to hear about robotic Stooges, like kind of based after the Three Stooges, like Moe, Curly, Shemp, and they're going to be like silly robots going through like adventures. That would be my guess.
Okay, out of curiosity, which one would I be of the Three Stooges?
You're kind of well, Curly was a little violent. You're not. Yeah, you'd probably be like a Shemp.
Ah, the villain.
Yeah, the villain. The
Damn.
villain. Yeah.
On the back of, I'm the understudy Stooge.
But look at us catering to that baby boomer audience right now,
Yeah.
man. We are killing it. We got Brian Wilson and Three Stooges talk. You're welcome. You're welcome out there.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mhm.
I present to you the Bionic Stooges, Part 1.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Of course.
I remember the only reason I remember this little Three Stooges like renaissance that they had, and they were like in stores and stuff like that. My brother had a Three Stooges tie for like I don't know, his confirmation or something, and it had like Moe, Larry, and Curly's face on it. Like I would die for that tie right now. Get that thing back, man. It was unbelievable.
Okay, all right. I will tell you, as you were telling the story, I can see the other two kids wrote Part 2 and
course they
Part
did.
3 in this book.
Well,
So
you got number one.
I started the story.
Exactly.
I made the universe.
You are the George Lucas of Bionic Stooges.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
so ready.
It was a dark night at the city bank. The Ghost Gang was going to steal from the bank 10,765 pounds of gold. I don't know why I came up. I kind of notice I always have random numbers and times in my stories. I don't really understand it, but that's what I do, apparently.
It makes it authentic. It makes it more believable. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't just go with 10 million.
Nah.
Yeah. you
No,
gotta
they
go-
got greedy.
Yeah.
Oh, we got 10 million pounds of gold. Don't you come back until you get another 765 pounds of gold.
Okay. Okay. All right.
After the robbery was in newspapers all around the world, then the news went to the strongest super. It's supposed to say heroes. It says super heroes in the world.
So nothing's changed.
Yeah.
This is basically where you maxed out on English.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Mike Burlew, Jeffrey Patrick, and Jason O'Brien, the Bionic Stooges.
That was the whole story?
No,
Oh,
there's
okay.
2 more pages. Come on, give me
Oh, okay.
3 more. Okay, all right. We went to the city bank to investigate. There were 3 clues in the vault. Supposed to say vault. I
Uh-huh.
added an O in there.
Yep.
Red mask with fingerprints all over it.
Ooh.
A piece of a shopping bag, and a missile. I don't know why they left it there. I mean,
So just a
they
piece
robbed
of
all this gold, but they left their missile behind. That wasn't smart.
Also, these guys are breaking into a bank with a missile, just holding it in their hands,
Yeah,
not using it to threaten the bank.
it was 85, man. Nobody had missile guns. They just had the missiles and be like, "I'm going to throw this at you." We went to the police station to see whose fingerprints were on the red mask. The police said it was Jimmy the Kid's fingerprints. The strongest man in the world, we said. Don't worry, we will stop him.
Of course, he's just waiting around.
Well, I mean, he's the strongest man in the world, and he walks around with a missile. That's pretty terrifying if you think about it. But I continue. We went to the Air Force about the missile.
Uh-huh.
They said it was so strong that it could pull 10 million, 567 pounds of gold.
The number's back again.
Such a good number. I had to bring it back, bro.
So there was a missile customized to steal that much gold.
Yeah, to pull it, but he left it behind for some reason. I guess that was the backup missile, in case the first missile didn't work.
Of course.
Yeah, he's a very smart man, the world's strongest man. We zoomed to the nearest place.
It just sounds like a Diddy freak off right now. There's plastic bags and masks and strong dudes everywhere.
Oh, all right. Oh my God. We zoomed to the nearest place about the pieces of shopping bags. The owner of the store said that the bags could carry, you ready? 10 million, 567 pieces of gold and still be useful. That's some bag.
Wow, everything's so custom.
Well, that's why he knew he went to the perfect bank, because he went to the bag store.
No, yeah,
That could hold that much. We knew how they put the gold in the truck. Jeff found a way to capture Jimmy the Kid's robots. He said, I invented a laser gun that can melt down the robots in 2 seconds. Jeff said, we need something to get through man-eating spiders.
Oh, of course we just throw in man-eating spiders all.
This is very dangerous. He's strong, he has missiles, and he has man-eating spiders. Mike said, I invented a force field that will protect us from the spiders. I'm very inventive like that.
Yes, sure.
We got into our speed cars and drove to Jimmy the Kid's hideout.
Wait, you guys got into your speed cars?
Oh, we can't delay, Scott. We can't go in slow cars. We never get there. So we got in our speed cars and drove to Jimmy the Kid's hideout in Utah. Very specific. Mormons and strong men live in Utah.
But your speed cars got you there really quick. Though.
Scott, we're in Jersey. We have to get to Utah. Well, you got to take the train? No, speed cars.
Man-eating spiders. Okay.
Yeah, we gotta drop that man-eating spider thing.
He just has them. Rumor has it. Yep.
We had
I also love Jimmy the Kid. Just Jimmy the Kid.
Yes. We had to use our jetpack to get over Jimmy's guards.
Of course, you have a jetpack now too, along with your speed.
Hey, we're Bionic Stooges, man. What the heck? Do you think we're coming unprepared? Then we found out that he had a new weapon. It was a volt shooter. Jason quickly pulled out the laser gun, laser, L-A-Z-E-R, from his pocket, and melted the volt shooter just in time.
Oh, what a guy. What a guy.
Then,
of course, you didn't do shit. You did nothing.
Hold on. Story ain't over.
Okay.
Then we saw the man-eating spiders.
Oh, they're back.
Yeah.
Good storytelling there.
Mm-hmm. So Mike pulled out the force fields, not just one, all of them, and set them up. We didn't get bitten by the spiders, but we had to get past his new pets. They were vultures.
Oh, yes. Vultures have entered the equation. So you pulled force fields out, killed the spiders, and then he's like, I got vultures now.
Yeah, and you can't use force fields on vultures. That's a well-known fact. See, because it says Jeff brought some sleeping powder just in case of an emergency.
Okay, Cosby. Yes, yes, a little sleeping powder. Just
He had drugs. We had sleeping powder. That's totally different.
Gotcha.
Well, Jason got the vulture's attention. Jeff said, "Say goodnight, birds." Jeff threw some sleeping. Jeff threw some sleeping powder on them, and they went to sleep. Mike said, "That's 3 down and a lot more to go."
Whoa, you're like the big henchman guy who has the best line in the movie. You're like Rambo.
Mm-hmm. He sent out robots. Each had a force field on it.
So many force fields.
Yeah. Jeff crushed the force field and then the robots. Then finally, we met Jimmy the Kid.
There he is, Jimmy.
Jimmy said, "You better leave, Bionic Stooges, or I'll crush all of you." See, I wrote a very evil character here, Scott.
Sure. He's mean.
First Jeff, then Mike, then Jason, one by one began laughing. Ha ha, ha ha, ha. First Jeff went after him, then Mike, then Jason. Jimmy said that he had the upper hand, but he didn't, and the Bionic Stooges stopped Jimmy the Kid. After they gave the money back to the bank, nobody knew when was next time they would capture a villain again. The end.
Oh my God. Why were you guys so into protecting the bank? Like you were you just
we saw the economy.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming, man. We knew at day one, and all. It's like, forget about the people of the world. Let's save the banks.
Also, I love that it just ends. Yeah, Jimmy the Kid did a bunch of things like bring vultures out and force fields, and then you just
he had all these guards we had to have jetpacks for. We had to get in our speed cars. The fight itself is just like over.
Yeah, we got him. Yeah, it was cool. I like that you made yourself like the biggest focal point of the story, obviously.
Well, I mean, I was a good writer. What can I tell you? 3 down, many more to go.
Yeah, exactly. Now, after we become successful for Moon Jail, I think we should bring back the Bionic Stooges. I think.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Jimmy the Kid.
We got 3 movies right here. We don't even have to. It's this 3-minute movie where the end fight is just like off screen, and we just come back. We're like, all right, let's get the missile so we can get that 10,756 pounds of gold back.
We got him.
Yeah.
Did you, when you read the story, did you have any recollection of it?
0.
Wow,
I have
amazing?
no idea.
Isn't it amazing? Like you at that time, that was probably like the thing you worked on, and you were so proud of it, and like you guys were probably like pumped and like debating on the playground, like, you know, no, Jimmy the Kid can't have vultures. Yeah, yes, he can. He's fucking Jimmy the Kid. You know,
he's
like,
the world's strongest man. Why can't he get vultures?
He's got force fields. No, he doesn't have force fields. You know, you guys are arguing on the playground.
All right, let's compromise. His robots have force fields.
Okay. And you're like,
because we're the Bionic Stooges and we don't mess around with force fields.
You guys like sipping your juice boxes, like nodding at you. Okay. Like,
all right.
It's allowed. Well, I like that. I'm like, but Jimmy the Kid wouldn't do that. You know what? We just need your dad to just go find more Burlew writings. Like he's got to have more. He's got to have more.
I'm just going to tell him, like, I'm going to lock you in your garage and you're not allowed to come out until you find me another 4th grade. The best thing would be like, oh wait, that was my high school thesis.
Yeah, he really liked Jimmy the Kid. We just kind of let him graduate high school. He was still writing him. Now I wonder. Now you were definitely a kid with a lot of imagination, like you could tell between your imaginary friends and Jimmy the Kid and your, like, when did that, like, because I feel like schools and like society, blah blah blah, whatever, like kind of crush like creativity. Like when did you? Because you did venture back into stand up later in your life. Like
Mhm.
you did. There was an urge to do there. You were writing things online. Like, did you feel like you were always drawn to something? And then obviously you have the show now with 500 and 17 episodes or whatever it is. But I'm curious, like, did you feel suppressed and you always wanted to be creative, or?
I mean, I guess I always had like a good imagination and I like randomness and weirdness and kind of bringing things together. If I could pinpoint stuff, this is like the 80s where they're pushing, oh, it's still in that, the baby boomers are bringing up this generation and they're
Wow,
like,
babyboomers.org. There you go, guys.
there you go.
Yep. Wow.
Another shout out, but they're the ones that are like trying to mold them like their time. So it's like when you go to school, you're supposed to be mature. You don't supposed to joke around. You're supposed to do this and that. So I could see that as kind of like, I don't want to say suppress it, but kind of like put a little leash on it, if you will. And that kind of, I mean, just like looking at this stuff compared to like me writing an essay in like high school, I definitely wasn't like in any writing class or trying to like build storylines or anything like that. So I guess as time went along, I just realized I kind of like my little sillier side.
Yep.
And kind of brought it back.
Well, because as you're sitting there, like I remember being in like going to read because some writing piece was there. I was in like G&T art. I can't even draw anymore, like at all. We mentioned playing bands like all forever, and then doing like the gotta go get a job thing, and that's what I did. And for like 10 years before I even like started the podcast and started doing comedy and like all. It's funny, like it's my wife says I drive her crazy because like she's like, you are just like just some weird creative mind where you think things like you like have to explain it. You have to like, I had this idea or this, and like you're just always throwing out ideas. She's like, why don't you do them all? I'm like, I can't because I hate them all. Like I come up with an idea and I'm like, I don't like it the next day. And then like a year or two goes by and I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. Like I'm never like satisfied with the idea in the moment.
You're a perfectionist where if you cannot say, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's stupid. And then you drop it and then you kind of, it's one of those things, you're just in the bank and it kind of is in your head and you're like, well, why don't I do this, this, and this? And you get closer to that goal.
Yeah, I think it's a confidence thing too. Like, like I would say nowadays I would put out anything, like on this podcast, clearly. Podcast, anything that's funny, bits that I'm working on that I think are funny. Like I would have never done that 10 years ago. In college, I was very creative. And then like right after that, I would never put out any of the videos I did and stuff like that. But it's like waves of like self-confidence, like waves, like, yes. Like this feels good. I'm doing it. I'm around the people I like and they get me. And then it's like, you get pulled in another direction. You're like, I don't, what if they don't find, I don't know. It's like definitely a confidence thing.
Yeah, and kind of what you pointed back to, like as I look at where I went in my career, why did I get in computers? It was just one of those. I was in school. I guess I kind of liked them. They could spell check for me, which I obviously need. And I just kind of stayed with that saying, well, I guess I'm good at this and this is what life is. There was never a moment where I said, well, you're a unique character. Why don't you build off of that? Why don't you take a chance or whatever? Because it's the era of, well, Y2K is coming. And if you're in a computer job, you're going to make millions saving the world from Y2K. But and now I'm here just reading a book from 85. I'm like, I almost want to expand.
Of course. Revisit.
Why did the world's strongest man feel the need to steal all that gold?
Remember, that was only part one, baby. Game of Thrones, supposedly the author is coming out with like the last two at some point before he dies. We'll never see it, but the Stooges, Stooges Part 2 could be right around the corner, man.
Yeah. Now the other two are written by my other cohort, so I'm not sure the level of originality and the amount of gold and vultures and all that stuff. But we can down the road do a compare and contrast between story one and the final two stories of the trilogy.
But we don't want to give them too much credit, because when number 2 becomes so viral and is amazing, they're going to come crawling back, be like, hey, I wrote Bionic Stooges Part 1 with you. You owe me a lot of money. You owe me a lot of money.
And I'll be like, I got plenty of money because I brought back the unaired episodes of Presidio Med, and now I'm the world's richest man and the world's strongest man. I turn into Jimmy the Kid.
And there it is, guys. A nice, neat package wrapped up in a little bow. Mike, anything to promote before we get on out of here?
I don't really have anything specific to promote, but this is coming out the week going into Father's Day, so I'd just like to send a shout out to Big Wild Hank, who has been on the show multiple times. For the next episode, I'll have a whole story of him helping me out getting ready for Scott's epic adventure to Georgia. You'll have some interesting laughs on that. But Dad, I love you. I'm actually going to try to remember your card this year and deliver it to you. For those who don't know, I always buy cards and I always forget to send them, but I'm going to try to buckle the trend this year. So, Pops, this is to you. I love you, and thank you for giving us the book for tonight's episode.
Yeah, you know what? I'll continue that sentiment. I started the episode with
No. Don't copy me. Don't you say a word about your dad. You hear me?
All right.
Talk about your teacher that scalps with you.
I will promote Mike's dad. I love Mike's
Damn right.
dad. No. Happy Father's Day, Pops. Like the Brian Wilson thing did bring up, in some ways there's light in every dark. Like it brought up like some good memories of like the Beach Boys being around, going to concerts with you, talking about it, talking to my grandfather being like, those Beach Boys, they lived some hell of a life. He loved like books and stuff like that about them. And so the Brian Wilson. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers that listen or all the fathers that don't listen. There's a lot of you out there. But other than that, guys, it's been a really good couple weeks here on the show. It's been a really fun time, a lot of great interviews, so go check out the past episodes. We have a playlist on Spotify. You can check out the musicians who've been on. We've had a ton of them on lately. We have a newsletter. Just send us your email and we'll send it out once a week. And other than that, guys, life's funny. Laugh at it. Keep the wind at your back.
Jimmy Love and David Mercy are up against their biggest case of all time. Jimmy the Kid and his Utah fortress full of vultures. Will they survive? Love and Mercy 2, Utah Boogaloo, coming this fall.
I really wish you had a jetpack and it just failed like a long time ago.